Hey guys, Richard Blaine here. Thanks for stopping by my easy cooking channel tonight. Tonight I'm going to make an interesting pasta dish. Yes, I know you guys are familiar with me making all kinds of Italian pasta dishes and Asian dishes, since really those are my focus. You'll have to excuse the noise in the background. That's my bird Gizmo. But tonight I'm going to make a variation on an Italian pasta dish. I'm going to make a Filipino pasta dish. And I know a lot of you guys are going, huh? What? Filipino pasta dish? I mean, yes, a lot of you are aware that Filipinos use a lot of noodles, lo mein, glass noodles, mung bean noodles, all kinds of rice noodles and stuff like that. But I bet a lot of you weren't aware that in the Filipino culture, they use a lot of pasta noodles too for a small subset of food. Okay, it's kind of like Japanized Western food or wafu food, wafu pasta, wafu puzuta, Neapolitan pasta. Okay, the Filipinos use Westernized pasta, Italian pasta, in a limited number of dishes, and the one that I'm going to do tonight is called Tuyo pasta, T-U-Y-O, Tuyo or Tuyo pasta. Okay. In some dialects in the Philippines, they call it tunsoy, T-U-N-S-O-Y, tunsoy or toyo. And what that is actually is small, sun-dried and salted herring, okay? And the dish that I'm going to make tonight is Filipino Pasta Puttanesca, the Filipino version of Pasta Puttanesca. And to tell you the truth, it's a lot more fishy smelling, okay? It's a lot more fishy smelling than its Italian counterpart way over in Europe, okay? Filipino Pasta Puttanesca using Tuyo pasta. I'll show you what the fish looks like. It's going to be smelly, but it's going to be so delicious, so delicious. Fishy, salty, savory with basil. It's just a little bit of heat. It's just going to be delicious. It's a pasta dish many of you haven't seen, but I love it so much. So as usual with YouTube, let's get going, and I'll see you on the other side. Alright, so a lot of you guys are wondering, what is Tuyo or Tuyo or tunsoy herring? And really, here it is. Alright, when you buy the herring, it is dried. It is salted and dried, okay? And it's very hard, and it looks like this. Here's the skin. And the skin has scales, and you can do this dish with or without the scales. It's very fine, but this is what the herring looks like, okay? It's been heavily salted and dried, and it's very hard, okay? Now what you do is you put the tunsoy or the Tuyo herring into a big bowl with water, and you let it sit for about anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes in some cool water or some lightly warm water. And then with your thumbs, with your fingers, you rub, okay, and the skin and the scales will come off the tunsoy or the Tuyo herring, okay? There it is, all right? Then what you do is you cut off the head diagonally and you chop diagonally in, quarter-inch slices if you want. On the bias, you cut the herring. You don't worry about the tiny little pin bones. Okay, the fish have been eviscerated. There's nothing left, no guts. Okay, the pin bones are so small they're going to get soft in the sauce, and you're just going to chew them up. So you cut off the head, and you cut quarter-inch slices on the bias. And when you get to about here at the tail, you remove the tail. I keep the head and the tail to make dashi, or stock, fish stock. Okay, here's another example. Okay, here's another example. The skin, okay, has been rubbed off with my thumb under running water and the scales. So it starts look as this and it ends up like this. And like I said, if you're like me and you're into Asian foods, you can keep the heads and the tails to make fish stock. Okay, I've prepared about 20 of these for the dish. I thought you'd like to see it. Let's move on to the next step. So the next step is to start the fishiness process of this dish, because this particular dish, Puttanesca, is all about the fishiness, all about the smell. So if you have some anchovy flats, that's great. But if you don't, just add a nice measure of anchovy paste to some medium heated oil. You don't want to burn it, okay? About the equivalent of 1 flat of anchovies, so which would be about 1/4 to 1/2 a tube anchovy paste. Get it in there. Said it's all about the fishiness of the dish and the saltiness. There we go. Okay. On a medium, we don't want to burn it, even a medium low. And we want to incorporate that anchovy paste into the olive oil. Alright? We don't want to burn it, so I've just turned the heat on low. I had it on medium, now it's on low. Alright, so it's been dispersed. Garlic. Alright, now I'm making a rather large load of sauce. This here is about 8 cloves of garlic. Okay, I'm going to raise it onto a medium low. Okay, and get this garlic softened up. Might have to turn it to a medium. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. Just want to soften that garlic up. We really don't want it to brown. It's going to take about a minute or two, and I'm just going to let it sit here. Okay. And we can watch it because it's going to go by very quickly. Okay. On the medium, incorporated with the anchovy paste into the olive oil. And it's going to be delicious. All right, now, the next step, black olives, about 1 cup of sliced black olives, brine removed. Okay, there's still enough saltiness in the black olives. Okay, there's still enough saltiness in the black olives to impart their briny flavor. Okay, you might want to raise the heat just a little bit because you want to keep it going. See, every time you add a cold ingredient, it reduces the heat, and you have to bring the heat back up very quickly. Okay, and then if you have to reduce it back down, you reduce it back down. Okay, and then 1 cup of roughly chopped green olives with the pimentos. And I'm going to saute these ingredients for about 2 minutes, and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so I've been sauteing the onions. I've been sauteing the black olives, the green olives, the garlic, and the anchovy paste in about 4 to 6 tablespoons of olive oil. And now I'm going to add my shallots. Okay, this is 4 shallots, finely diced up. Okay, not super fine, but small pieces, because this sauce is all about blending flavors together. All right, and I'm going to saute these shallots in with the black and green olives and the garlic and the anchovy paste. Oh God, it's starting to smell so good in here. I'm going to raise the heat to medium-high, bring it back up. All right. And I'm going to saute this mixture again for about another 2 minutes, maybe 3, and then add the next ingredient. This is going to be a lovely sauce. Now, the next step, just to let you know, when it came to the black olives and the green olives, I didn't use any of the brine from the jars, okay? There was enough on the olives. Now I'm going to add some capers here, okay? About 4 tablespoons of chopped capers. But in the case of the capers, I rinsed the capers because there's enough of a salt umami from the black and green olives that I just want the flavor from the capers and not the overwhelming salt. So I rinsed the capers before chopping them, and I'm adding them to this mixture. Okay. And I'm going to mix it in well as I saute. Okay. And I'm going to saute this mixture again with the capers for about for about another 2 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next ingredient. All right, so I've got black olives, green olives, shallots, garlic, anchovy paste, and olive oil, okay? And everything is starting to get a little bit brown, a little bit thick, so I'm going to add about 1/4 of a can of organic chicken stock to get everything flowing again. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. All right. About 1/4 of a can of organic chicken stock. That gets everything moving again. All right. Now, to that, mushrooms. Just some nice, roughly chopped white button mushrooms. And about another 1/4 can of chicken stock. Okay. And I'll let these buttons soak up some of the liquid and get soft and reduce. And then we move on to the next step. This is good. All right, guys, so I'm about 2 seconds away from adding my tomatoes to this pasta puttanesca sauce. And then after I add the tomatoes, I'm going to add the herring and let it simmer for a while I make the pasta. The herring is going to give it that Filipino flair and a couple of other ingredients. And I want to discuss the tomatoes that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using a new product today. I've used tomatoes before, but today I'm going to be using a new tomato. Oh, there it is. Today I'm going to be using a new tomato product. This tomato product is called De Fratelli. De Fratelli is produced by the Herzl Canning Company, right here in the United States of America, okay? Herzl has been producing vegetables and produce and canning organically in the United States since 1923. They have many, many products, okay? And they've been doing this for a long time. And everything that they grow and everything that they can is done so organically. The only thing in here is a little bit of sea salt, okay, to give it a little flavor, but basically it's nothing but naked tomatoes. Now, for this dish or any other Italian dish, you could use a can of San Marzano tomatoes, and if you want to spend a fortune on San Marzano tomatoes, you can do so. And yes, San Marzano tomatoes taste a little bit differently than domestically grown tomatoes because a difference in the air and a difference in the nutrients and ingredients in the soil, okay? And they produce top quality tomatoes in Italy, but this is the United States of America, and guess what? We produce top quality produce in the United States of America as well. And the Herzl Company has been producing De Fratelli and other produce, okay, since 1923, right here in America. So I'm going to leave a link to the De Fratelli website. There's a lot of good information about the company, about the product, and there's actually some pretty good recipes too. I'm going to leave a link in the description box along with the recipe for this dish, and you can check them out, and I hope you do. So, the sauce has been simmering. I've got the mushrooms, they wilted, they've softened up. I got the garlic, I got the onions, shallots, I got the olives and the capers, and I got a little bit of juice in there from the chicken stock because it was starting to get a little bit dry, and we don't want it to get a little bit dry. And now to that, I'm going to add 1 28-ounce can of De Fratelli diced plum tomatoes. Oh my God. And I'm going to raise the heat to high because I want to bring this to a boil, and then I want to bring it to a simmer. Now this seems like a lot of sauce, and actually it is, and that's okay because I'm going to be cooking about 2 pounds of pasta and feeding about 6 people who seem to have a bottomless pit when it comes to hunger. Okay, so I'm going to incorporate this in. Okay, I'm going to incorporate those tomatoes and get the heat up. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to reduce it to a simmer, and then I'm going to add that Tuyo or ton soy herring, which is going to add a whole new layer of fishy smelliness to this sauce. Okay, because if you thought the anchovies did it, you are way wrong. But I need to reduce this sauce a little bit, so I'm going to bring it up to high, We're just about right now. And I'm going to reduce it to a simmer and reduce it by about 10%, maybe 15%, and then we're going to move on. So as the sauce reduces, I've tasted it, and there's plenty of salt from the olives and the capers, so I don't need to add salt. But I am going to add some black pepper, freshly ground black pepper. It's practically a necessity for this dish. Add as much as you'd like. It's probably going to be 2 teaspoons for me because I like the warmth of the black pepper. Okay, but you could add as much or as little as you want. Okay, there we go. All right, so here we are. The Puttanesca sauce is reducing famously. Okay, there's still a little bit of excess liquid from the chicken stock, and it's going to reduce and concentrate, add some lovely flavor. The black pepper added some lovely flavor, and here we go with the stinkiness right here. Here is the tansoy, okay, or Filipino Tuyo herring, okay? There's probably 20 of those little herring that I chopped up, okay? Okay. About 20 that I removed the heads and the tails from, cleaned, got the scales off, okay? And now I'm going to incorporate it into this sauce to make the Filipino Pasta Puttanesca. And as it gets hot, it's going to start getting stinky. And that's the nature of this dish. And that is the nature of the tansoy prepared Filipino herring. It's very stinky, but it's very flavorful. And usually in the Philippines, what they do is a lot of times they don't even waste time cleaning it. They just drop the herring in oil and deep fry it and then eat it. And it smells to high heaven. But it is so delicious. It is just so delicious. So here we go. I've got the tansoy mixed into the Puttanesca sauce. It's going to begin softening up and breaking down. And it's starting to get fishy smelling in here. It's going to probably take 15 to 20 minutes for this sauce to reduce. And then when it reduces, I'm going to set it to a little bit of a simmer and cook the pasta to let all these lovely flavors continue marrying, and then I'm going to have a lovely plate of pasta for dinner, and that's for sure. So hang on tight. At this stage of the game, guys, you can opt to do this or not, but you can put a bird's eye chili in here or some red chili flake, a little bit of pepperoncino. I'm not adding as much pepperoncino as I usually like to add because it's not necessary, okay? About a teaspoon pepperoncino, if that. Yeah, about a teaspoon. About a teaspoon of pepperoncino, just to impart a little bit of warmth into this puttanesca. Because remember, pasta puttanesca is the pasta of the whores, and the whores are all about the warmth. They just want to keep you warm, they want to keep you happy, they want to keep you smiling, but they want to do it for a price. Okay, so a little bit of pepperoncino to add a little bit of warmth to the dish, because naturally the whores want to keep you warm as well. Alright, so I've got my pasta cooking, and the last ingredient I'm going to add to this puttanesca sauce is about 1 cup of chopped fresh basil. This is going to add one more level, one more layer of aroma to this sauce. Yeah, it smells like seafood sauce, there ain't no doubt about that, because of the anchovy and because of the herring, but the basil sure does level it out. Yeah. So I'm going to stir this in, and I'm going to let this simmer for about 2 or 3 more minutes while the pasta cooks, and then it's going to be time to plate up. Oh God, it smells so good it's ridiculous. Okay guys, there it is. Filipino Pasta Puttanesca using tansoy or Tuyo herring. This is very fishy smelling, okay? It smells like fish. It's so fishy, but it's so delicious. So here it is, Filipino Pasta Puttanesca. It's totally delicious. I'm glad you watched me make it. I hope you make this. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, and I'll see you on the next video. Okay guys, there you have it. Filipino Pasta Puttanesca. Tuyo or Tuyo Pasta Puttanesca. Made with Filipino salted and sun-dried herring. It's fishy smelling. God, it's so fishy smelling in here. It's a great fishy smelling seafood pasta dish. Okay? Filipino Tunsoy Pasta Puttanesca. It's delicious. I'm glad you stopped by. I hope you make this recipe. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.